What's going on? Happy Thursday night. Normally, I report from whatever team bar I go and visit on these Thursday nights, but I'm not in San Francisco this week. So I couldn't go to, I don't even know what the Washington bar is. I think it's somewhere up near Fisherman's Wharf. And I know that the Bears bar is Monahan's in the marina. Couldn't go to either of those two. The Bears fans probably up in the marina, guessing they weren't too happy with how that game ended. I just watched the highlights. Saw on Twitter that it was a terrible game with an interesting ending. Reminded me a lot of Seahawks, or I always call this the Broncos, Colts. I was about to say Seahawks, Falcons because Russell Wilson against Matt Ryan, but they're new teams. It always throws me off. Broncos, Colts. A lot like that, right? Terrible game, bad offense, interesting ending. This one, Justin Fields and Darnell Mooney could not connect in the end zone. They connected like an inch away from the end zone, but Mooney bobbled the ball. You thought 49ers fans are bad with the quarterbacks. The Bears fans are all over Justin Fields right now. Thought he should have thrown the Montgomery on the check down over the other side, but Darnell Mooney's made crazier catches than that. Darnell Mooney should have brought that in. And I mean, he skied up for it. See it right there from the end zone angle. It's a catch he has to make with the game on the line. I thought Justin Fields put the ball where it needed to be. And receiver didn't make the play. Receiver bobbled it. Defensive back probably gets some credit for knocking that ball away. But anyway, we got a 49ers Thursday Q&A for you. And, before we get going with the Q&A, I just have to say, how happy are you that it's not football off season? It's, we always just complain during the off season that this is taking too long. We need football back. But how often do we appreciate during football season that we're actually in the middle of it? So we've got this game on Thursday. If you're Kirk Herbstreit right now, you're really busy, right? You're on a private jet somewhere. You're going from Chicago to your son's football game on Friday. And then you're going to game day on Saturday. And then you're just crisscrossing the country for all this stuff. And then obviously he's calling the game on Saturday night before he does the Thursday night football thing again. Pat McAfee posted a video the other day. Maybe Kirk posted it, but Pat and Kirk were both on the private jet together having a good time. But I mean, that's just a microcosm, right, of how wild football season is. We got a game on Thursday. We've got Friday Night Lights. If you're into high school football tomorrow, you can go check out a game in your community. Saturday is always crazy with college football. I don't watch it nearly as much now that I'm covering the pros on my sixth season. But once you get to Sunday, I mean, that's when the real action is. And back when I covered college, I swore by college football. I thought it was so cool. And then you see the personality of the NFL and you're like, you can't beat this. It's a higher level of play, more mature defenses, which I think is fun. I don't like teams scoring 60 plus a game, playing cupcake opponents. I very much prefer the NFL, but just the personality in the locker rooms is great. So how happy are we that it's not the football offseason, especially for the 49ers, because they have this stretch coming up. 49ers against the Falcons, then the Chiefs, then the Chargers, then the Rams. That's a hell of a stretch. That's a month of fun football, with the Falcons obviously being the least marquee opponent of that stretch. But 49ers Chiefs is going to be hyped to the max. Chiefs play the Bills this weekend. You could sure that game is going to be hyped to the max. If both the 49ers and the Chiefs win this weekend, that's going to be big at Levi Stadium as far as national media presence goes. And then, I mean, everybody's talking about Herbert right now, right? Justin Herbert. Well, the 49ers get a look at him. He's going to come to Levi Stadium. That's Sunday Night Football for 49ers Chargers. Then obviously a rematch against the Rams, I believe, the day before Halloween. I think that's October 30th down at SoFi Stadium, Levi's South, as they like to call it. So the next month is just awesome, and that's why it's a good time to kind of do a little zoom out Q&A today. Oh, man. So really good meal tonight. If you're ever in Nashville, Shohan Indian Kitchen. It's like Southern food fused with Indian food. Place has won a ton of awards, celebrity chef. It's my favorite spot in Nashville. Every time I'm here, we have to go. And tonight we went, and I'm glad that I missed that game because I don't think I missed much. And I watched the 30-second highlight that I needed to. Saw Justin Fields' nice run right before that. But boy, was that food good tonight. So if you want your food recommendation for tonight, it's Shohan, CHAUHAN here in Nashville. All right, 49ers Q&A. We got enough people in here. Time to start this sucker. Let's go through some of these questions out the water. How's it going, everybody? And once you see the questions, once I see the questions, I will start. I know it's a lot of talking. Yeah, thanks. Do you guys like the sound on the new mic? Somebody said they like the mic setup, so I should always put the message that I'm reading on the screen. Otherwise, you guys think I'm talking to a ghost. But all right, here we go. DeAndre Johnson asks, will Nick Bosa play against the Chiefs? I suspect that this is the 49ers plan. I think they want Bosa back for the Chiefs. I think they want Trent Williams back for the Chiefs. These guys, Jason Verrett back for the Chiefs. I think that these guys that they're iffy on, especially because of the artificial turf in Atlanta, I think that they're waiting to bring back against the Chiefs. I think they're going to try to win a shorthanded game against Atlanta on Sunday. I might be wrong, but Bosa hasn't practiced yet this week, and it would really surprise me with a tight groin, especially since he's been working out on the side field a lot but not practicing. Something tells me they're just holding him back right here. He's ready to go. That turf is what is stopping the 49ers from doing anything, taking it all too seriously this week. So shorthanded game this week against Atlanta, a lot of pressure on Jimmy Garoppolo and the offense. Piece about that dropping tomorrow, so be sure to check that out. And other than that, Chiefs, I think it's going to be full go the next week. This is funny. The more I watch the Bears, the more I get upset that the 49ers lost, says regular viewer Akshay. Yes, the 49ers should have beaten the Bears, and perfect storm. Trey Lance's first start as QB1, right? He was just filling in last year. Monsoon, probably the biggest deal. Do they win with Garoppolo? Probably. But the monsoon was still the great equalizer. So you look at those conditions and you say, you know what? The Bears got lucky that it rained that hard that early in the season, right? It was September 11th, I think. Yeah, first half of September. And that, I guess they get those tropical-like storms, a little steamy. It wasn't cold in Chicago yet, and it was the great equalizer. That's what happens. And the Bears got a couple fluke plays to go their way against this 49ers defense in that second half. The Pettis one, I mean, that was almost like poetry written against the 49ers, right? To have Dante Pettis beat you when he wasn't actually executing his play incorrectly. Pettis should have been following Justin Fields on the rollout to the left. Pettis was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. He's standing over on the right side. And because of that, he's wide open. And because of that, the broken play happens and the 49ers end up losing that game because that all spurred the comeback. So it's tough. But this is why they play 17 games. You got more than enough time to make up for it. If the 49ers run the table, not saying they will, they go 15-2. Nobody remembers the Chicago game. It's just an afterthought. So they're already in first place. They already have a great point differential. The NFC West point differentials are wild. The 49ers are plus, I want to say 40 to 50 or 60. Like they're well above zero. Every other team is in the minus in the NFC West and like minus 20 at least. So the 49ers, I think, have clearly established themselves as the class of the division early in the race. And now you got to stay as healthy as possible and keep beating teams moving forward. No, it's 18 weeks, but 17 games. There's an odd number of games now. It was biblical rain in Chicago, yes. I don't know. I've never been to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. My first time is going to be this Sunday. I cannot wait. I absolutely can't wait to see the stadium. This one has been high on my list of NFC or NFL stadiums that I want to see. The 49ers haven't played there in quite some time. I first started covering this team in 2017, and I believe the 49ers played there in 2016 against Shanahan, offensive coordinator that year. And was Mercedes-Benz even open in 16? I think it was already, right? Or that wasn't the Georgia Dome still, was it? I think Mercedes-Benz had opened by then. But I cannot wait to see this palace that they have in Atlanta. And my initial gut feeling would be that Mercedes-Benz is better than Levi's. I'm not the biggest Levi's fan. I think it got outclassed by all the stadiums that were built immediately after it. And if I look here, let's take a look. Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We could see what year this sucker was open. Open in August 2017. All right, so when the 49ers It's going to be the 49ers' first game at Mercedes-Benz because they played the Falcons in 2016 in the Georgia Dome. Yeah, so this will be, unless I'm missing something, this was the 49ers. This will be the 49ers' first game at this place, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, near Centennial Olympic Park. I've been there. It's going to be right in the middle of Atlanta, downtown. You could take the MARTA, the train there, the green line and the blue line, right by the CNN Center. It seats 71,000. I love Wikipedia. Wikipedia is fun. You can see the interior here. That roof is really cool. See through that roof. And this is obviously where no, that wasn't here. The Falcons did not play that Super Bowl at home. Where did they blow 28-3? Trying to think. That was an indoor stadium. Houston, right? Yeah, that was in Houston. All right. Let's get back to the questions. What do I think if NFL playoff brackets were like NCAA brackets? Anyone could play anyone in the championship. Well, aren't they kind of like that? I mean, you just get a seeding, right? And you make it into it's just not as big. The problem is that there's only 32 teams in the NFL, period. So it's already like it's the second round of the NCAA tournament. So, I mean, you can have anybody against anybody, but you have to qualify for the tournament in the NFL. And that's a much more exclusive tournament than the NCAA basketball tournament. And yeah, it was in Houston. For some reason, brain didn't click there, but it was in Houston. It was in a dome. And that season, the 49ers did go to the Georgia Dome and just get their asses kicked by the Atlanta Falcons. Kyle Shanahan is offensive coordinator. Chip Kelly is the 49ers head coach. And the 49ers hired Kyle shortly thereafter. All right, this is good. This is some good trivia. 2016 was the last time the Niners played in Atlanta at the Georgia Dome. The only Niner that's played in Mercedes-Benz Stadium is former Falcon Tevin Coleman. And Kyle Shanahan, by extension, has not even coached at Mercedes-Benz because Kyle was the offensive coordinator back in the Georgia Dome days. So that's cool. And Tony just added that. Great minds think alike, Tony. Cool stuff. Every stadium is better than Levi's. Candlestick was better than Levi's. I'll go out and say it. I think Candlestick Park, if I had to take a pick, if Candlestick was still there in the state that it was in the final year, power outages and everything in 2011 on Monday Night Football. And, if Candlestick was there, even if it was in its old decrepit, decaying state and Levi's is there, somebody had to, choose which stadium to play a game in, a 49ers game, and they asked me what stadium should this be played in, I would say Candlestick 100 times out of 100. It was more electric. It was in the city, which I think is, you can't. But I always thought the 49ers should have built at 16th Street and 280. Nobody ever proposed this, but I know they had a plan at Candlestick Point. The Levi's design is actually built like that. That was the design for Candlestick Point. That's why you have like the little gaps in the corner. You're meant to see the San Francisco skyline. So they just kind of plopped it down 40 miles to the south. But to me, now they've redeveloped it. Those of you familiar with the city, 16th Street and 280, maybe I could even pop open a map here. Let me show you where I wanted the 49er Stadium to be. The San Francisco. Open up Google Maps. And there we go. All right. So zoom in here. So you guys see where 280 kind of comes up here. I have my mouse on it. So you're entering the city on 280. And then when 16th hits 280, which is right here, they are now building, and we could even put it on the satellite view. If I could, I don't even need to see the satellite view because I don't even know how old that's going to be. But they've built like apartments and condos here. But this was kind of just like desolate, um, old warehouse district kind of stuff. It was a lot like the area where Seattle built their stadium just south of downtown. So if you built the stadium here, it'd be a couple things. It would be right off the freeway, so you could probably engineer and build some off ramps and parking garages to make it nice. AT&T Park is obviously right here, Oracle Park, I guess I should say, where the Giants play. And now the Chase Center is right here, so all three stadiums would be close. And the Caltrain tracks, the commuter rail, runs under the freeway and then bends out and ends here. But you could easily add a station for game days that would just like drop all the fans coming off from the peninsula up right into the stadium. And the stadium would be right here at 16th and 280. And you would have this epic view of downtown San Francisco looking north. You could open it up kind of like Seattle Stadium, right? Seattle Stadium has that opening for the skyline in Seattle, which I think is awesome. But San Francisco's got a more epic skyline than Seattle. You've got more tall skyscrapers, right? I mean, it's San Francisco too. It's not Seattle. More glamorous city, more water, more sunshine. Just imagine a stadium right here. I took it off. Right here, 16th and 280. Right in the middle of all that. Now, nobody ever proposed that. There's probably no chance, maybe a 0.0001% chance that would ever pass. We know it's San Francisco. We know it's hard to build things, especially a football stadium where you don't play nearly as many games a year as basketball and baseball. But those were just my 2 cents. I thought that would have been cool. But this is a good one. When they show the Golden Gate Bridge or Alcatraz during the game now, it ain't the same. It's far away. You're right. That said, as much as I'm a city guy and I like urban stadiums, and football is the one sport where you can get away with having a stadium further away because they only play 8 or 9 home games a year plus the playoffs, right? You're playing baseball, you're playing 81. If you're playing basketball, you're playing over 40 at home plus the playoffs, right? So if it's an everyday thing, you kind of need the development near the stadium. You need it to be walking distance to bars, the restaurants, because football is the ultimate, tailgate sport where every Sunday that you actually do have a home game is an event. Your random Tuesday night game against the Washington Nationals in baseball is not a huge event. So for the one sport that it could happen, that's why the 49ers are, way out of San Francisco. The New York Giants are in the state of New Jersey. So are the New York Jets. They both play in the same stadium because it could work that way for football. Can't put a baseball team or a basketball team that far out there. So that's, that's the silver lining for me. It was a big city proponent for stadiums. Do I think that Drake Jackson is going to have 2+ sacks against the Falcons with Bosa being out? Well, he's going to have to earn those 2+ sacks. Sometimes it's harder to get 2 sacks with Bosa out because Bosa's taking up all the double teams. So, Drake, I think, is playing well. Drake is developing, but the best 49ers pass rushers right now are Bosa, Charles Omenihu, and Sansom Ebukam, the best edge rushing passers. And Drake is working back into it, right? I mean, he's got to figure out a way to make what worked at the college level for him work in the NFL. And he hasn't been devoid of production, but the production has been lower than the 3 veterans because it takes a while to learn the techniques. The NFL is not just about strength or athleticism. The NFL is about technique. And in your first year, you're kind of swimming, right? And then your second year, you come back and not everybody's going to be Nick Bosa in their first year. But I have been impressed with Drake Jackson, and 2 sacks would be huge for the rookie out of USC. Tony Wright, you keep on referring to the 49ers from the outside. So I'm guessing you're a fan of another team. I wonder who Tony Wright's a fan of. You can put that in the comment section. He likes Charles Omenihu. Oh, you're a Falcons fan. Cool. I wanted the Falcons to draft him when he came out and then sign him when Houston released him. He's a beast. Yeah, Omenihu's a beast. So if we're talking to a Falcons fan right now, can't wait to see Omenihu not only against Jake Matthews and Caleb McGarry, the 2 tackles, but Omenihu's going to rush from the inside. Now, I don't know how much they're going to be able to deploy him on the inside with Nick Bosa potentially not playing. But what the 49ers like to do is they like to put together, they call it a lightning package. It's like a NASCAR package that the New York Giants used to run with Strahan and all those guys to beat Brady in the Super Bowl. But they run 4 defensive ends in pass situations. They call it the lightning package. And, that group of 4 is typically Bosa and Ebukam at the edges, Armstead and Omenihu on the inside. So you get Omenihu, who's 6'5". He's kind of ton of weight. He's 260 or so. He's 6'5", 270, 280 with the Texans. They didn't know how to coach him. They didn't know how to use him. He barely, he's getting pressure, but not sacks there. Now he's lighter. And this guy with that length and that athleticism and that lighter weight, guards are just kind of like, they're stuck in cement, right? So he gets to work against the guards. He's occasionally will work against a center. He worked against a center against the Bears, kind of got his hand up there, forced the Justin Fields interception, the errant throw. You got to love the way that Chris Kasarik uses these defensive linemen. So the Falcons have a good offensive line. I really, really respect Atlanta's offensive line, both in run blocking and pass protection. They have Chris Dahlman's son. They have Drew Dahlman on the Falcons. He went to Stanford, thought the 49ers might be interested in drafting him. They obviously didn't, but Drew Dahlman's a really good run blocker. Matthews and McGarry, left tackle and right tackle. Those guys are good pass protectors. I think they've done a good job in front of Mariota. I blame a lot of the sacks on the QB. I think Mariota's holding onto the ball too long for the Falcons this year. But Omenihu, if he has a chance to shine this week, it's going to be fun to watch because, again, he's number 4 in pass rush win rate in the entire NFL out of the edge rushers. And that to me is just a great example of pristine coaching and development from the 49ers. They got this guy off the scrap heap from Houston last year for a 6th round pick. Well, buckle up because the Niners are going to see a heavy dose of running backs. Yeah, Algier, Caleb Huntley. Yeah, I mean they're going to come in waves. This is going to be smash mouth football. This is what I'm really excited for as far as a matchup goes. The 49ers actually lead the NFL in run defense by a lot. Number 1 DVOA. They're giving up 3.0 per carry. Number 2 team is giving up 3.4. That's a big gap. The Falcons are the number 2 rushing team in the league by DVOA, but they don't have Cordarrelle Patterson, who's their top rusher, but they still have Algier. They still have Huntley. Mariota obviously can carry the ball himself. He's got some wheels. So the Falcons, they try to run. They actually run more than expected than any other team except for the Bears. And number 3 is the 49ers. So these are 2 running teams, right? But the 49ers have shifted this year too. Yeah, they try to run a lot, but they're now passing to set up the run. The 49ers are coming out in the gun for Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, it's just a natural reaction to teams loading up the box against them so much here after their reputation as a run-first team had just outgrown itself. So now the 49ers pass to set up the run, but the Falcons are very much going to run to set up more run, right? And run to set up an occasional play-action pass. And that's what they should do because Marcus Mariota hasn't been very good this year. But, yeah, the Falcons are going to run, and run. One more here from Tony Wright, giving us some intel on the Falcons. Kyle Pitts is playing this week as he missed last week's game due to a hamstring injury, but he returned to practice yesterday. Yep, Kyle Pitts is coming back. Drake London going to play. Obviously, no Patterson for the Falcons, but Pitts, I mean, the Falcons, in a way, are a lot like the 49ers in that they do a little bit of that positionless skill position stuff, right? You got tight ends, you got running backs, you got receivers, you got guys that could flex in between positions. And it's hard to defend because it's a really multiple look that the Falcons can give offensively. So the 49ers are going to have to be on their P's and Q's, especially if you don't have somebody like Nick Bosa, who's one of the best players in football. This is a good question. I wonder what Tony thinks about this. What percent of the fan base will be Niners fans at Mercedes-Benz on Sunday? I don't know. I don't know what the Niners fan situation is like in Atlanta. I'm not in town. I'm not in Atlanta right now. I'll be there on Sunday, but we'll see. I'm very curious to see what it will be like at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I mean, it's not a hard place to get to. Atlanta's got one of the biggest airports in the world. Could fly there direct from pretty much anywhere in the U.S. So Niners fans anywhere in the U.S. will be able to get out to Atlanta. And if they really want to travel to see this, what looks to me like a spectacular stadium, I think you could have quite a few of those 49ers fans who are pretty pumped up right now. Yeah, this guy's Zacchaeus. The 49ers are, well, you could say banged up. They're down a corner. And I guess they're down Jimmy Ward, but they haven't had Jimmy Ward all year except for one play. Their two safeties are, Tashawn Gibson and Talanoa Hufanga are playing excellent football. So the 49ers down one corner. They still have an A-plus corner so far in Charvarius Ward. Well, I'm just curious to see what the 49ers do at the cornerback position opposite Ward. Is it going to be Samuel Womack? Is it going to be Lenore? Is it going to be Embry Thomas? Is it going to be a mix and match of those guys? Does Dante Johnson get called up? Could be something that the Falcons try to pick on, but more depth for the 49ers there than last year. We got some trash talk, that's for sure. You also have Mariota. Yeah. Tony Wright thinks it's going to be 36%, 37% Falcons fans. We thank Tony for his service, gave us some good information on the Falcons. Always awesome when there's like a respectful fan of any team. I love when 49ers fans are on here respectful, but like this is the team the 49ers are playing, and we got some good stuff from Tony. So thank you, Tony. Do I think that the 49ers will trade for cornerback or offensive lineman before the trade deadline? What is that, in like 3 weeks? Let's see how these couple weeks go. I think you learn a lot about your football team against the Chiefs, right? Then you get the Chargers. I think you get full 4 more games before deadline, because the Rams game is going to be that last one in October. So I think they're still getting a gauge on our offensive line. They're still seeing if somebody gets hurt. The cornerback situation, they're seeing what Verrett's going to be all about this year. There's still so many questions. And because of those questions, I can't answer your question with any definitive answer at this point. Yeah, Arthur Smith is interesting. I think he comes a little bit from that Shanahan school of thought. Like I said, the skill positions. He loves to run the football. He wants to play complementary football by running the football. He thinks that he could control game flow. And if the Falcons start having their way, and not saying they will, but the injuries for the 49ers, Tony earlier was talking about the injuries to the secondary and how those could potentially hurt the 49ers. The more concerning ones in this matchup, because the Falcons love to run the ball, are the ones inside, right? Eric Armstead, Javon Kinlaw, the guy, your interior defensive lineman who I'm playing against the run-first team. That's where this could start to get sketchy. And don't forget that it did start to get sketchy against the Carolina Panthers. First drive of the second half, the Panthers start running down the field, and Christian McCaffrey scores the touchdown. You know who restored order in that game? Was the 49ers offense. It wasn't the defense. It was the 49ers offense that restored order. And my prediction's coming out tomorrow. We'll talk about it a lot tomorrow. But in my opinion, the 49ers will need to rely on their offense, at least somewhat, in this game to come away with a victory. I'm predicting a much more narrow margin than we saw the 49ers beat Carolina by because of these injuries. I don't think Bosa is going to play. And maybe I'll be wrong, but I don't think Bosa is going to play. And if that's the case, that's a big equalizer on defense. That should give some room for those Falcons to, pass a little bit, set up a little bit of a run, do their thing, try to wear the 49ers down with that weakened interior, on top of missing Bosa. So as I think about this game, I think, okay, the 49ers offense, they're going to have to deliver again. They're going to have to pull some of the train here, just like they did in Carolina last week. Yeah, I saw this. Atlanta's the only team that's 5-0 against the spread this year. Raul sees Kittle having a big game. Yeah, so the Falcons pass rush is interesting to me because Grady Jarrett's a man inside. I love Grady Jarrett. I mean, just an all-around football player. Detonates the run, detonates the pass even more effectively than the run. The 49ers didn't block him in 2019. It didn't end up well, right? 6 pressures. They lost that game. They did a good job against Grady last year. And Jimmy got rid of the football last year. It was a good game plan. Jimmy was crisp in that game against the Falcons last season. So Grady Jarrett had only 2 pressures. So to protect Jimmy Garoppolo, I mean, the Falcons have 2 guys that are good at getting off the quarterback. Grady Jarrett, Lorenzo Carter, the edge rusher. If you don't block Grady Jarrett, everything blows up. That's the guy you got to focus extra attention to. You have to make sure you take care of it, because if he's getting pressure up the gut, quick release goes out the window. Jimmy gets hit. Jimmy is not going to be as accurate. I mean, no pressure, no quarterback deals well with interior pressure. You have to slow down interior pressure. That's why Aaron Donald and Grady Jarrett are dominant players, because they deliver interior pressure. So you got to block him. And then Lorenzo Carter is going to be working against Jalen Moore, who's the 49ers' third string left tackle. And that's another danger zone. But at least if you have a guy working against tackle, he's coming from the outside, right? A little bit more time to get to the quarterback, so quick release can still work with the third string left tackle. There is no release that works against a defensive tackle detonating your guard and center in a second. Just remember DJ Jones when he ran over, who was that? Joey Hunt, the Seattle center. Russell Wilson just tumbles backwards. You have to be able to slow Grady Jarrett in this game. Tony Wright, more intel. Yeah. Taquan Graham, Texas product, was teammates with Charles Omenihu. Edge rushers on that Texas Longhorn front, the alma mater of Kyle Shanahan. So, yeah, so you have, with Atlanta, you have Graham, you have Lorenzo Carter, and obviously Grady Jarrett in the middle. It's not a terrible pass rush, but I talked about it today. The Falcons are 27 in defensive DVOA. So they're, at a certain point, the 49ers, and we'll see where Carolina ends up, but it was a top half defense entering the game. I know that they were missing Jeremy Chin, their top safety, and Xavier Woods, their other safety. And I think the 49ers took advantage of that. But the Falcons have categorically been worse defensively than the Carolina Panthers this year and the Rams this year. The 49ers moved the ball against both of these previous teams. So at some level, even with a third string left tackle here, based on prior results, based on Jimmy Garoppolo getting more comfortable week by week, the further he gets away from the shoulder surgery, you have to think that the 49ers will have some hay to make here. Last year, they did a big yards after the catch, a yak game. That was when Deebo Samuel knocked out A.J. Terrell's mouth guard, right? That was, it was electrifying. It was lit. A couple bad tacklers in that Falcons secondary. So I think the 49ers try to get players the football and try to test that tackling. It's interesting because the 49ers now passing to set up the run. They're passing wider to the boundary with Jimmy Garoppolo to set up more interior runs. Whereas in the past, they ran outside to set up the interior pass. It's a little bit of a philosophical shift that we've seen the 49ers make, more of like a counter adjustment to the league's adjustments. Decal is hoping for everyone to come out healthy. Yeah, you'd rather beat your conference and your division opponents. I get it. But at the end of the day, you'll probably need all the wins for positioning because the NFL is so bunched up and there's so much parity. And, you also want to beat the Chiefs for some confidence. That always helps. I mean, you always want to leave your mark and then stay as healthy as you can moving into the postseason. Frank says the 49ers need to run this week. Coleman will be critical. Well, they need to run every week. Running is the lifeblood of the 49ers. Even if they pass to set up the run, running is still the lifeblood. It's how they control the clock, how they control tempo. I mean, this is it depends who's hurt, but you're never sitting down and making that trade. You're not saying, hey, okay, fine, we'll win, but here are 2 injuries for you. Injuries are so random. So I just find this to be a hypothetical that doesn't really get us anywhere because nobody's ever trading injuries for wins. Am I fearful the 49ers might be rushing Trent Williams back for the Chiefs game? I don't think so. I think he's been running now. I think that's a step forward. When I saw him a few weeks ago, he had the boot on the leg with the high ankle sprain, and there was still a lot of swelling. I noticed. I'm sure that's gone down, and he started running. Trent knows his body better than anybody, and he rushed to get back for the NFC Championship game last year, but you can't blame anybody for rushing to get back to the NFC Championship game. I don't think you'd rush back for a regular season game, even if it will be a hyped one against Kansas City. Unique One predicts 49ers 30-17 over the Falcons. I'll have my prediction for all of you tomorrow. Yeah, and I mean, the 49ers have done what they were supposed to do against these subpar offenses defensively, right? Their defense has played well every week, but At some point, you can only beat the teams that they put in front of you. But at some point, you just want to see, okay, what will happen when Mahomes and Herbert are on the other side? And we're about to find out. It's going to be a great month. I talked to Elijah Mitchell in the locker room last week, really briefly. He's got about a month away. It was a 2-month injury. It's been a month, about a month away. He said he's feeling good. Navarro Bowman pick 6 against the Falcons was historic. All right. So speaking of old stadiums, new stadiums, Candlestick Park, I was there that night. I wasn't covering the 49ers yet, but I was there that night. Navarro Bowman pick 6 to close the stick against Matt Ryan and the Falcons. That was December 2013. That was electric. That was electric. I think this is a good point. 49ers can't afford the loss, knowing that, you got these tough games moving up. But you want to win the games you're favored in, that's for sure. They're 5.5-point favorites right now. Alshire's the same injury as Elijah Mitchell, so that's going to be a couple months, and he got hurt after Elijah Mitchell. The injury of the year, I mean, it was the high ankle sprain last year for the 49ers. This year, it's the sprained MCL, and that's about a 2-month injury. It's about 8 weeks. You could only bench the starters to a certain extent because you only have 48 players on the active roster. It's 46 plus the 2 practice squad guys at most, right? So there's not enough players to just bench everybody and put in a whole second line. It's not like college football. So, yeah, I think Shanahan, if the 49ers are way ahead, will remove some key guys, but you can't really take out like everybody. It just doesn't work. So at some point, you just have to play out all 60 minutes. How's the team's morale heading into the game? Seems good. I mean, the 49ers have won 2 straight. I think they're feeling themselves a little bit. They just want to keep on stringing these wins together. You were there too? Yeah, that was crazy. What an emotional night that was. Monday Night Football, Candlestick. I mean, just as Bowman was running back, that place, the roar there, it was something that I'll never forget. Still ringing in my ears. You're asking for the odds on Bosa playing? 20%. Feels to me that he won't. I think they're getting ready for the Chiefs. I have no inside information on this particular topic. I don't think he will. So we'll see. I think Robbie Gold's going to be the kicker this week. I really do, because Robbie was a full participant at practice on Thursday. So Sam Sloman, they have him on the practice squad just in case, but I think Robbie's going to be the kicker. Well, it depends what food. What's your favorite place to eat in the Bay Area? Like in the city, out of the city, what food? I can give you a few if you just want like some sandwich spots. But I mean, sandwich spots. Yeah, why don't we go through? Why don't we just go through some fast casual eating? Fambrini's, Palo Alto for sandwiches. Vesta, Redwood City for small plates and pizza. Amazing for lunch or dinner. In-N-Out Burger anywhere. I love that. Taqueria Cancun in San Francisco for the best Mission-style burrito. A couple locations, the main ones at 19th and Mission. Deli Board in San Francisco for some fancy sandwiches. Those things are really, really good. If you were on the East Bay and want to get an Italian sandwich, Marucci's in Walnut Creek. Awesome. I mean, I could just go through a list of, if I want to get a lobster roll in San Francisco, I'll go to Woodhouse Fish Company. I mean, this could last forever. I just don't know where to draw the cutoff. So tell me what kind of food you want, and I'll give you the recommendation. Best place for seafood. There's a place called the California Fish Market on Green in North Beach that has really fresh seafood. Go up to the wharf, and you could do your whole touristy thing with the seafood. Get bread bowl, clam chowder anywhere, but again, I get really good seafood at Woodhouse Fish Company. It's in DuBois Triangle and Pack Heights, 2 locations, and they fly in the lobster from Maine if you want your lobster rolls from there. So that's a good spot. Do you elevate Sloman and have him active just in case? I don't think so. I think if Robbie is feeling fine, he's feeling fine. Yeah, he can get hurt on kick coverage at any time, right? And you don't have room to have 2 active kickers just in case. So unless Robbie Gold is a little bit hurt still, I don't think they do that. And he's probably healthy based on what we've read. Where do I eat when I'm near Levi Stadium? That's tough because there's nothing near there. The In-N-Out Burger right off of Great America Parkway in 101. You might see me working there sometime. I'll have my laptop. I'll tether my laptop on work, so come say hi if you see me. There is the Starbucks. You could get some coffee out there. I mean, this is how bad the pickings in Santa Clara are. Sometimes I'll drive over and I'll do my work from Fambrini's in Palo Alto, which is an amazing, some of the best sandwiches you'll ever have. Very, very good. The chimichurri surf and turf. I do. In Shaver. Cabin and Shaver. What are the chances Mitchell loses his starting job at running back? Not very high. I think that Mitchell runs this scheme better than anybody. And you're going to be running a committee either way. So who really cares who's starting? I mean, with the 49ers, it's not the same as it is with other teams, right? You're going to have capable runners in Wilson. You're going to have a capable runner in Mitchell. And the capable runners are going to get their carries for the 49ers. Yeah, the counter's good. They're a little chain. They're all over the place. You can build your own burger. This week's Niners game, my prediction will come out tomorrow. I got a video coming out tomorrow. I'll let you know if I think they're going to win tomorrow. Can't spoil it today. Thanks for the question, though. Brunskill, we'll see if he gets more snaps here. Banks has had some knee tendonitis. Brunskill has been running a timeshare with Spencer Burford, and we'll keep track of that division on Sunday. What are your favorite restaurants, Mexican ones in downtown San Jose? I actually want to know. I'm not vegetarian, so I can't tell you where my favorite place to go get vegetarian food is. I honestly don't know. Eagles and Cowboys is going to be a good game. The 5-0 Eagles. My favorite pizza spot. Vesta in Redwood City's got amazing pizza. Check that place out. San Francisco Pizzeria Delfina is really good. If you like deep dish, Little Star Pizza. And then if you want square slices, kind of very just greasy, later night, but thick, pizza, Golden Boy in North Beach. Kind of touristy, long line, cash only kind of place, but it's legit. Tevin Coleman's playing good football right now. Didn't matter if it was Carolina or Mercedes-Benz Stadium, but Tony Wright thinks that Tevin Coleman might be tough for the Falcons to stop this week. Bills Chiefs, my thoughts. Aren't the Bills favored on the road against Mahomes? That's crazy. Josh Allen is where I'm from the Central Valley in California. So he's a former Niners fan. Those are my only thoughts on that. It's going to be a fun game to watch. Now, is that the primetime game or no? It's got to be, right? It has to be Sunday Night Football. Somebody answer me. Because I don't look at the schedule. I know the 49ers are playing 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Pacific. That's going to be fun to watch. Well, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy to go to the East Bay, check it out, do a couple Lombardi lives there. Let me know. Put it in the comment section. Give me these food recommendations around the Bay Area. If you want to see me do a video from a food spot that you think is awesome, I'm going to vet it a little bit before I go, but toss it into the comment section is better after this video is done, but I'll read the chat section as well. All right, so that game is in the afternoon. All right. So it's going to be after Niners Falcons. So I'll be writing while that game is happening. Hopefully I get to catch the very end of it. Yeah, so no flex happening in this game. I selfishly wouldn't want the 49ers Chiefs the next week to get flexed because I like when they play earlier just for work purposes. Otherwise, you're in the stadium till midnight, 1 a.m. writing. I think it's better when you're done a little bit earlier. You're fresher to get all that work done. But I know the fans love those primetime games. In Levi's, they always feed us in the press box, and they do a good job at it. So that's where I eat I don't have to eat in the concourses or anywhere down there. All right, awesome. Some Berkeley recommendations. I mean, the Chez Panisse is an iconic place. They're like the home of Californian cooking. All right, guys. Awesome. We've been on for 45 minutes. This is my chance to remind you to subscribe to The Athletic. You can go here and you could see my page on The Athletic where you could see all the articles that I have written. I'm going to toss this into the comment section. And, I wrote the breakdown, as you'll see here, of 49ers, Panthers, position by position. We got a big predictions and observations piece coming tomorrow. And then this was the post-Carolina piece. This one was fun to write as well. So go ahead, head to this page, check it all out, subscribe to The Athletic, help me out while you're at it. And you could visit me on Twitter, subscribe there, Lombardi himself. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to our resident Falcons fan, Tony Wright, I believe his name is. That was awesome. And everybody have a great Thursday night. Enjoy yourselves this weekend. We'll obviously talk to you tomorrow. So not like I'm saying goodbye forever, but good stuff. It is always fun to do a more relaxed Q&A. So sub to the channel, like the video, and we'll talk to everybody soon. Have a good night, everybody.